welcome to Trying Times. If you're new here, welcome. My name's Carmen. I'm your host, I'm your friend, and if you didn't know it yet, we're best friends now. So, yeah, thank you for spending time to come here and listen or watch if you're watching this. There's also a video episode. That is something I'm trying to do a little bit more of this year than I have ever before, and I feel like it's just so much more fun having a video component with audio. If you're not watching, then you're really not missing much. It's okay. I am not going to lie to you. It's been a long week. Not that I should be beating myself down here about appearances or anything, because that stuff really doesn't matter, but it's been a long week, and honestly, it's late on a Friday night, and I'm recording this because I just wanted to do it today, and then sleep in tomorrow. Sue me, okay? Anyways, if this is your first impression of me, then sorry. I'm really happy you're here, though. If this is not your first impression of me, then thank you so much for riding out with me and coming back and, yeah, being here through all the highs and lows. Anyways, we are very much still heavy in winter here, at least in Ontario, in Canada, Toronto, if you will. And it's very much the time of year to hibernate and just chill and just be. And I can't speak for you. I will speak for myself when I say I know rest is something that we all need, myself included. And it's also something that so many of us feel guilty actually taking or choosing to do. And that's such an interesting thing to me. So, whether it's slowing down, whether it's doing nothing, whether it's just choosing yourself over productivity, it just feels uncomfortable sometimes. It is something that can sometimes feel hard to take. Rest, that is. Or a better way to put it, a pause. And that's really what I wanted to talk about in this episode. I want to talk about why rest is essential, why some guilt might show up around it, and how learning to pause can actually help us build a healthier relationship, not only with ourselves, but with others as well. I think most importantly, though, it does very much tie into this idea of giving ourselves permission to breathe without needing to earn it. And I think that that's something that we really, just as a society, I don't know, a lot of people struggle with. Again, I can speak mostly only from my own experiences here, but I do feel like it's something that we struggle with, and it is something that's tough to just like accept or to make space for or to give, time to. And I don't know why. So I did a little bit of digging, and as I like to share a little bit of a scientific fact, I will drop that in here now. I learned that there's a concept in psychology known as productive rest, which refers to the idea that true recovery allows our brains to process information and reduce mental fatigue. Hey, who would have thought? Taking a moment to breathe allows you to actually function better. So basically, studies have shown that even short periods of intentional rest can improve creativity, memory, and emotional regulation. So your brain works better because you take a moment to pause or to stop. And I don't know about you, but certainly in my life, there's been moments where I've been like, okay, go, 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 go. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to do this. Once that's done, I actually also got to do this. And oh my God, I can't forget to go buy this thing that I need. And oh shoot, I have this appointment, or there's always something going on. And it's easy to fall into a routine of that for like, I don't know, days, weeks, months, years for some. I certainly can say that that has been a theme in my life at some point or another. And holy crap, it's insane. Because I think when you're in that routine and you're in that regime and you're just like, go, 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 it feels scary to stop. It feels like you're pulling a plug in a way. And it's like everything just halts around you. And when you're that quick to move with things from moment to moment or day to day, it just feels terrifying to do anything but, even if it's temporary. And that's all the more reason to allow yourself to pause. So yeah, despite this concept of productive rest, a large percentage of adults report feeling guilty or unproductive when they rest, often due to social norms that emphasize constant busyness. For instance, the entire concept of hustle culture. Shocker, not a healthy thing in all senses, probably not a healthy thing in most senses, to be quite honest with you. And I too, very much like everybody at one point, was eating that up and was like, oh my God, you're right. Like, if you're not doing something all the time, then what's the point? Like, what is it if you're not doing anything all of the time, or you're not spending your time doing things Mm, it's called being a human. It's called just learning to function and to also make sure that your reserves are not depleted. Is that the right analogy for that or the right saying? It's a way to check in with yourself and make sure you're okay and you're doing good and that you're feeling as functional as possible to continue doing things that you need to do, to continue doing things that you love, to continue interacting with those around you in a way where you're showing up and putting your best foot forward, or you're showing up authentically and comfortably and confidently within yourself, not just for others, but also for yourself. And I feel like hustle culture is just not promoting that maybe in the most authentic of ways. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know. I do think, though, as time's going on, a lot of people are starting to agree with that. And I don't feel so alone in that stance or in that perspective. I've had this conversation with quite a few people. And a lot of the time, the outcome from it or the takeaway from it is just that it's not healthy to be doing something all the time. It's not healthy to be pushing yourself to these lengths to feel fulfilled by things all of the time. And certainly, I think this can work for a group of people, absolutely. Again, when I'm saying these things, I think a lot of this applies to myself and those around me, maybe who have similar experiences. But yeah, certainly, I don't think for every single person in the world that this is maybe the best way to be. For some, maybe. And if it is for you, hey, I think that's incredible. And also, I would love to learn more about that and how that works for you and how that benefits you. Because certainly, in the sense that it wouldn't benefit me, I'm so intrigued to learn on the other side of that how it can benefit someone. Because surely it can. And I'm sure it's amazing. So, yeah, that's my scientific fact, productive rest. So, moving a little bit further away from scientific facts, away from like the overall meaning of what I want to talk about, I want to talk a little bit more about my personal experience with this. And I will start by saying that a lot of my takes and my opinions on this comes from the fact that I too at one point was someone who was heavy into the idea of like being a busybody and always doing something. And I'm not going to lie to you, I still struggle with that at times. And that's something that I still am, like, as very much as a person, I still do like to be busy a lot of the time. And I'm very much learning to slow down and learning that that's not a bad thing. It's actually a wonderful thing to slow down. I think I've just had so many moments in my life where I knew deep down that I needed to slow down, but I felt like I couldn't find justification for that, or I couldn't find a way to justify slowing down. And when you're in that sort of a mindset sometimes, or you're just so used to certain things like that, I think there's always a pressure internally, not even from others, but just internally to always be doing something or always be achieving something or improving or growing and genuinely working towards something new all of the time. And deep down, you're probably hearing that and being like, that's wonderful. Yeah, like it just sounds like you're a very motivated person or you're ambitious or you're trying to seek growth. And I can agree with each and every one of those points. I also, though, do think it has its own downfalls. And I think it's something that takes place in different ways and in different times of people's lives if they experience that. But for me, I will say, I think in a personal growth sense, in a career sense, even in a creativity sense, that is something that never allowed me to feel fully fulfilled or to feel really concrete and happy in anything that was going on ever. It was always like, cool, what's next? What can I do next? That happened. It's a thing. Okay, it's behind me, even though it's still just right here. It's behind me. What's next? And I think when you do that enough, you start to hit a wall a little bit. And it feels a little bit frustrating. It feels a little bit tough. And I want to say that's almost when it's like you hit a point where you're just like, I don't even know if I feel guilt anymore for rest because I'm just so tired of go, 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 go. So that's when I was like, I have to make a change here. I will say in those moments, though, of extreme busyness, I did notice, and that's what helped me get to this point. And again, still very much learning, still very much growing. Not saying this is a perfected science because it absolutely is not. But I will say every time I've allowed myself to pause, whether it be for a day, a quiet morning, even like just go take a walk or something and just really disconnect, I always notice how much better I feel afterwards. And that to me is the most telling thing of anything. I think it's like clarity comes back, my mood shifts, my body relaxes in a way that maybe I didn't even realize it wasn't relaxed before. My jaw's not tensing up. My shoulders aren't like in my ears. And that makes the world of a difference. And like I said, this is still very much a work in progress for me. I've not come close to mastering this, but I try my absolute best to always be learning how to integrate this and to always be learning how to do things better, not in the sense of achieving, but in the sense of breathing and just being and allowing myself to choose rest when I need it. I think once I started doing this, it was really evident to me how difficult it felt to be within myself sometimes because I'm so used to, okay, cool, if I'm not doing that, then I'm doing this. And if I'm not doing that, then I'm doing this other thing. And if I'm not doing any of those things, then I'm going to go fill my time with this or this or this. And so naturally, yeah, when you take a moment to pause or rest, you're going to be like, this is weird. This feels kind of icky. And why do I not feel good? And it's just interesting. I think it's really difficult at first, at least it was for me, to be with myself and try to zone in on whatever it was that I was doing in that present moment, whether it was walking, whether it was meditation was a very big thing I got into. And I think it's still something I'm into. I just have not done it in a while and I'm not doing it due diligence as I should. But being present in those moments when you're first learning how to do this or first practicing how to slow down or pause or take a moment for rest without guilt it's like a very big learning curve and it's uncomfortable and kind of icky. And I think, again, a lot of that comes from this ability to just be so accustomed to be like, go, 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 go. And in turn, not being used to stillness at all and not being aware of like, hey, if I just pause for a moment, nothing's going to crash and burn. Nothing's going to fall apart. Nothing's going to break. I can actually just hang out and be, and things will be okay. It's just going to be a little bit later than I want to do something. It just might be that I end up choosing rest over doing something that would have been happening in the same moment if I really need it. And sometimes you can choose that when you don't even fully really need it. And that's not laziness. That is just choosing to recharge. I like to think, going off of that point of laziness, because I think that that's a big thing that always comes into play. And it's a big thing that always gets intertwined with this subject. I don't think that rest has taught me that doing nothing isn't lazy as much as it is necessary. I think it's this ability to learn a new side to yourself, and that learning to release that guilt for me is still very much a work in progress, but it's a really important one because I'm learning on the other side of that how much it is needed on a day-to-day basis and how important it is to have that in your life to be functioning at not just a normal level, but to be functioning at a level where you genuinely feel good within yourself and you feel good within your skin and how you present yourself and how you show up in the world. And I think that's really important. And without rest, you can't really do that. I mean, surely you can, but you might not feel great in the long run. It might not feel good long term. Because, like, for me, yeah, surely without rest, I can go, 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 go. I've seen in the past how that's fared for me and it was not well. But yeah, rest, again, from my experiences and just anything is so important. And before I keep rambling about myself, I want to get into some audience participation and some research I did about what people were saying about resting without guilt online. So let's get into that. So the first thing I'll get into, and it's my favorite thing to look at always, Reddit. You can find so many interesting things on there in general. Why does it sound like I'm doing an ad for Reddit? You can find so many amazing things on Reddit. The truth is, I really love looking at Reddit for these type of everyday questions and prompts that I ask because I feel like people are on there talking about this stuff a lot. And some people are really comfortable sharing their honest opinions and their experiences on Reddit. And I feel like in these sort of instances, if I can relate to it, maybe somebody else can. Or if I find something insightful or intriguing or interesting enough to share, surely someone else might find that interesting. So yeah, I found a thread where someone shared that they always feel guilty resting until they started to reframe it as maintenance. And this I found really interesting because earlier when we looked at that term in psychology called productive rest, I would also refer to that as maintenance. Anyways, they said that they felt guilty resting until they reframed it as maintenance, and I genuinely appreciate that. They compared it to the concept of charging a phone. They said, "My body isn't a machine, but if machines need breaks, so do I." And that to me was quite eye-opening, and I found that very profound because, yeah, if something is built to do a very specific function, or maybe it has many functions, and that too needs a break, why would you as a human not need a break? Why would you need to keep pushing and trekking along when even something that's built to be able to do that needs breaks? Why wouldn't you need a break? But yes, in addition to that, other users echoed how hard it is to step away without feeling irresponsible, which I understand deeply, even though rest always makes them feel more grounded and capable after. That's always the theme. We're so scared to do it, but what are we really scared of? Because it's providing clarity, better functionality, it's providing so much that we're like almost fearful of performing better or being better by taking rest. And not just that the goal is to be like efficient and better and good, but it's like we're able to present ourselves and be more mindful and be more confident in our capabilities because we feel rested and good and recharged. And that's so interesting to me how that's not really a concept that's often like pushed at people as opposed to hustle culture. I think now maybe on TikTok people talk a lot about like productive rest or learning to pause and mindfulness a lot more. And I genuinely love that type of content because I think there's so much benefit from that as I'm learning through my own experiences. All this to say, I think this is such a great reminder that guilt around rest as a whole is so common. And it's actually something that a lot of us struggle with. I think the hardest part, though, is learning to undo that guilt and understanding that that's probably one of the most compassionate things that we can do for ourselves. And that's beautiful. So, yeah, I believe this is genuinely just one of the ways that we can really up the quality of our own lives, to be honest. And it's special. I'm so excited to also add that I have a little bit of audience participation. So, again, I have a Google form that's out there. I think you guys should go check it out if you'd like to, where you can absolutely answer prompts that I will be asking for different episodes. And those answers that you share can get featured in a future episode. So if you want to do that, please go to @the Trying Times Podcast on Instagram, click that link in bio, and there is a Google form. Click on it, type up an answer. You can record an answer if you want and share a voice prompt or, I don't know, share a video, whatever you want, and it'll be featured. So yeah, my prompt for this episode was, how do you recharge when you're feeling drained? Shoutouts to Peter for answering this one. Peter says, finding trees and any kind of body of water, spending time near those things opens up the blockages in me and vacuums out my spiritual ductwork, so to speak. I genuinely love that answer, and I too can vouch for that. I think in the summer especially, I love to go hiking, and I think there's something so nice about walking on a trail and recharging and just not worrying about time per se. You're not in a rush to get anywhere. Just being one with nature is beautiful. There was a time where I lived in a city and I lived close to water, and that was so nice, just being able to walk there on my off time and be around the water. I would literally just take headphones and sit there and watch the water for like probably 40 minutes. And I thought that that was so special. It was so different. It was so nice. And again, by the end of it, I always just felt so recharged. So I love that answer. Thank you, Peter. I couldn't agree more. I do have a voice prompt from Jigisha, who, if you listen to the last voice episode, also answered a prompt for that one. So thank you so much for answering again and sending in a very special voice note for this. So we're going to listen to that together.
Okay, the question is, how do you recharge when you're feeling drained? My favorite way to recharge is hanging out with loved ones, talking to loved ones. So, giving my friends a call, especially those friends that like to do things, plan things. Maybe you've been overdue on hanging out, like you haven't hung out for a while. Those friends, especially, I mean all friends, but those ones especially are super dope because then you know you need to plan something. They get you out of the house. Anytime going out to eat, big back, but going out to eat definitely recharges me. on an individual standpoint, this is a more recent development, but I never used journaling as a tool for recharging. It was more to like an outlet. But recently, it's been a really good tool to recharge me when I'm feeling a little down. So yeah, that's my personal one.
Ooh, I really love that. Also, again, thank you so much, Keisha, for sharing that. Because I feel like a lot of those answers can be hard to share in terms of like what works for you or what you might turn to. Those can be very personal things. So I really appreciate that. The whole thing of chatting on the phone with friends. We used to do this so much, and we need to do it again. We need to make more time for it. We're trying. But talking on the phone is truly a really wonderful one. I feel like it just helps you feel, I don't know, a lot more grounded. Sometimes we'll talk for upwards of like 2 hours, and it could truly be about anything and everything. And I will always walk away from it being like, wow, I'm in a better mood. I feel a little bit more at ease. I feel calm. And that speaks volumes to me. I also really loved the idea of journaling. I know a huge thing that Jigisha has recommended to me to try is junk journaling, and she inspires me to do that a lot more. I want to try it because I think I've maybe tried it once and never really did get into it fully, and I should try because I've only ever heard amazing things about it and people love to do it. So I need to get onto that. Journaling is so wonderful though. And also, I will say, going out to eat with loved ones is so nice. That does not get tiring. I feel like I could go to a cafe, or actually, now that I think about it, I have gone to a cafe and then a bookstore and then a restaurant all with my best friend in like the span of maybe 5 hours, just because we enjoyed spending time together so much. So we're like, hey, let's turn this short hangout that was meant to be like a cafe and a bookstore crawl into a whole evening or into a whole day. And that is so special. And yeah, you just feel good. Because at the end of that hangout, I was like, I feel amazing and I feel happier than I did before. And I feel comfortable and I feel confident and I feel good. So, yeah, I think in the sense that sometimes taking a break is good. Also, like walking away from something maybe that's stressing you out a little bit, if you're able to pause and do something in that place that makes you feel comfortable and happy and just content as a whole, I think is so important too. So, yeah, Jigisha, thank you so much. You made so many great points. I loved that voice note and I appreciate you. So, thank you. But yeah, that is it for this episode. Again, I appreciate you joining and listening or watching or both. I cannot thank you enough for sharing your time with me. And yeah, I hope if you do come back to listen, you check out that Google form. Feel free to participate again at the Trying Times Podcast on Instagram. Feel free to DM me there if you want to talk about anything or share some ways that you recharge when you feel like you need it. And I'd love to hear from you. So yeah, we'll chat again soon, okay? Bye.